Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we are discussing what might be the coolest Speedmaster launched in the last 5 years, at least if I have anything to say about it. It's a personal favorite, but for your approval, the 2021 launched Omega Speedmaster Chronoscope. The watch is 43 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It's a fairly large watch in terms of diameter, but because it is manual wind, it's thinner than most of these tri-level coaxial 9000 series models, only 13.3 millimeters thick, 48.6 from lug to lug, with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Because it is fairly short across the wrist and reasonably thin, it wears nicely on my wrist. It's a big watch, make no mistake. It's not oppressively thick, though, and it should fit underneath most sleeves. Taking a look down the barrel, I would say that if your wrist is, let's say, 15 centimeters circumference or larger, you're going to wear this. You can see I've got a little bit of clearance on each side. The lugs are not overhanging, nor are they in imminent danger of overhanging. So 16 centimeters circumference here, let's say 15 would still wear the watch well. Although I've shot this model before, I'm shooting it again because it's customarily seen on a full bracelet. I think it looks fantastic on this Omega factory strap. It's not a configuration I see often, but my goodness, does it match well. The combination of the light brown calfskin strap, the contrasting binding stitch, the sheer cut sides, with the sort of vintage look of the anodized aluminum bezel insert, the manual wind profile, the twin register dial, the triple scale. This is almost like a modern take on the vintage aesthetic, and it's a great success. The strap, as you can see, is made of calf on both sides. It is thick cut, and then cut and profile with lacquering to add refinement. It's actually a bonded strap. As you can see, there's a binding stitch here, and there's a binding stitch here, but for the most part, notice how there aren't stitches running up and down the strap, so it's bonded together, giving it a thinner, seamless aesthetic. This is a new Omega factory strap. It's in outstanding condition, and again, a little bit more of that contrasting stitch at the end, but only at the end. Taking a look at the buckle, it's relatively simple. It's an Omega pin buckle. It's got a combination of media blast and polish, with brushed satination on the bottom. Lyre-style lugs. You've heard that phrase many times with Omegas. What does it mean? Basically, that you've got this double bevel at the end, where the bevel turns inward, facing inward, and then outward, facing outward. So we have the polished bevel on the outside, the satin bevel on the inside. Longitudinal satination across the case. It's a moon watch-like profile where you have a little bit of a shear guard or a crown guard structure for the pushers in the crown. Taking a look at the bezel, it's polished on its underside. Then there's an anodized aluminum insert on the top to give it more of a vintage look than you can get with a ceramic insert. We also have a dramatically boxed and cambered sapphire designed to look like a vintage plexi. 3 scales, so we got the tachymeter outboard. All these scales are used with the chronograph. So we have the tachymeter outboard, which can be used to gauge speed. Then inboard of that, we have the telemeter, which is used to gauge distance. Further inboard, we have the pulsometer, which is used to gauge pulse. Now, I'm not going to go deeply into how you use all of these things. You can find that easily on Google. I'm just going to say that in each case, it involves starting and then monitoring the position of the chronograph seconds hand, usually for no more than a minute. Taking a look at the dial, it's quite attractive and there's a lot going on. It's busy, but in a good way. We have a track outboard for reading seconds, minutes, and fractions of seconds. We have individual indices, and then we have these polished applique metallic numerals, which look great, vertically arrayed Arabic numeral in a very traditional, sober font, leaf-style hands at center with a counterweighted lancet-style seconds hand. I love the overlap of the registers, which transition from silver on blue to blue on silver as they pass over the sunken sub-registers, each of which has an azurage or concentric pattern internally. Now, if you look carefully, you can see overlapping chronograph hour and minute hands right there, so you can read both of them on the same scale. So you get a triple register dial, but with a twin register, elegant, balanced aesthetic. Taking a look now, we have a function here that's endemic to the twin barrel 8000 and 9000 series movements, which is that even as the watch continues to run, I can move the hour hand independently if I'm traveling and I'm jumping time zones east or west. Now, if I pull the crown out all the way, I activate hacking seconds. In order to create this super clean aesthetic, something had to give, and what gives in this case is lume. This watch doesn't have it. Taking a quick look at the reverse of the watch, you can see it's based on the 99,000 coaxial chronographs, but it doesn't have the automatic system, and that's to the benefit of thickness. This watch has less of it. 50 meters, water resistant. With a push-down crown, I recommend not swimming with it, but it should be fine for rain exposure or if you splash your watch while washing your hands. So manual wind, 2 barrels for nice flat torque plateau and isochronous operation through most of the power reserve range. 60-hour power reserve. The beat rate on the chronographs, it's interesting. A 8900 series has a beat rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour, but the same movement in chronograph form has 28,800, which allows it to correctly register the eighths of a second on the chronograph scale. So that's something I've learned along the way, and it was news to me, but it's important to note. We also have a column wheel for function selection. You can see it through a skeletonization in the bridge. Very crisp feel in action. We also have a vertical clutch, so when you start the chronograph, there's absolutely no stagger, jump, or extraneous motion. That's a function of the vertical clutch, which is a seamless engagement in comparison to a lateral clutch, which will always jump a little bit. Vertical clutches also have no additional wear and tear when they're in motion, so you can just leave the chronograph running full-time if you like that look. Of course, we have a master chronometer here, which means the basic movement has met the COSC chronometer tests, but it's then cased up and tested in 6 positions for chronometry, also tested for power reserve, anti-magnetism to over 15,000 Gauss, water resistance and durability. It's a very comprehensive test. That's what it means to have a master chronometer. It's also known as the METAS test after the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology that worked to create this test with Omega. 44 joules. We have a free-sprung balance with a full balance bridge for shock resistance. The free-sprung balance has little variable inertia screws on the balance that also allow for very fine and precise adjustment. Now, there is a coaxial escapement, which you just barely see from certain angles. You can see it as a second bridge under the balance bridge. But the idea there is that it's a double impulse escapement with both direct and indirect impulse. And the shakeout is that the tangential friction created by this system is less than the sliding friction of a Swiss lever. Now, both can be made to work very well, but this is still probably the most exotic escapement that you can buy for under $50,000. And it is the latest tri-level version that Omega has been using since the mid-2000s. I would also say that it helps to improve power reserve, chronometry, and reduces maintenance requirements. The coax, originally developed by British watchmaker George Daniels, industrialized and made famous to a broader audience by Omega. There is a lot to love with this watch, and my favorite detail might be this concentric patterning underneath the hour track. It's almost like the grooves of an old vinyl record. This watch is full of nuance. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.